everyone, I'm Aeshmah. I'm gonna be running Samurai Jack Battle Through Time any % Jack for you during Hekathon 2022. As the category suggests, this is the easiest difficulty setting of the game. We're running on a new game save file, so everything is fresh. We don't take anything over from any previous save files, so it's gonna be a fun time for us. And I'm actually not going to do this alone because I have a commentator for me, which is actually the world record holder of this category in about 17 seconds separate us. So if you want to go ahead and introduce yourself.
Hey everyone, I'm Matt Ponton. I currently, as Aeshmah said, I currently have the world record in the category we're running tonight. I'm also previous record holder for the Master of Masters difficulty, which is the hardest difficulty, as well as the New Game Plus Jack 1 as well. So hopefully you guys will be able to enjoy some good old Samurai Jack, and we should probably get to it.
Exactly, because I think we are a little bit behind schedule, so let's just go ahead and get this show on the road. Timer doesn't start just yet, I will tell you in just a moment, because first of all I have to select the difficulty, then we will skill a cutscene, and as soon as that is over, I will call for the timer to start. So with that out of the way, let's actually confirm the difficulty setting, which will be Jack. Then I will be skipping cutscene, and the timer starts in 3, 2, 1. Let's go! Alright, first level. Not a lot to do yet because, as I just said, we are starting from a fresh save file, so we don't have any abilities unlocked just yet. We will do that over the course of the run. And I guess Ponton can do a little bit of telling you what exactly those are.
The first ability we're going to be trying to get is Rushing Guard. Rushing Guard is like the sliding guard attack that it does have some attack properties out of it. It's probably the most mobile ability that we can really pick up until we get later on. Unfortunately, because this is a new game run, we don't have access to higher level like weapon attacks that we can use for traversal in the New Game Plus runs. So we won't be able to do a lot of the New Game Plus run skips, but we will be able to do some out of bounds skips later in the run once we reach those areas with those higher level abilities.
Exactly. One thing that we actually do not want to see is for the enemies to block a lot of my attacks, because every time they block something I have to go ahead and attack them again, which obviously loses quite a bit of time, and it's just really something you don't want to see, but you will see it a lot, especially once we start fighting larger enemy groups. So here's actually the point that Ponton was just talking about, where we might be able to get the Rushing Guard ability just a tad early to fight all these beetle butts, but we're just about a little bit short of getting it, so no time save here, sadly.
Yeah, unfortunately, the Samurai Jack runs a little bit more on RNG than some of the other games, even though it's a linear cartoon experience. So right now, what we're doing right now is we just unlocked the Ki ability. The Ki is sort of like the super attack ability, and you can see us we switched from our sword over to our fist attack here to use the fist version of the Ki, which ends up it actually has a mass area of effect, and it's on the same exact frame in that radius. It's going to do all the same damage in that one frame. So it's very viable when you're using trying to take out multiple enemies, so you don't have to worry about damage being lost across them.
Mm. Another thing about basically all the categories in this game is we time by in-game timer, because at the end of every stage you basically get your time that you can take a look at. So the time actually pauses during the menus that I'm doing. So, we don't really go by real time, which basically means whenever I'm in a menu, I might make it a little bit slow just to make it sure that I actually pick the right skills and stuff without it, impacting my actual time for the leaderboards.
Yeah, we ended up doing in-game time because the game is available on multiple platforms. Right now, Aeshmah is running it on the PlayStation 4 version, and it's also available for the Switch, Xbox, and PC. Because of that, there's certain areas in the game where the loading time might defer between stage loads and various different like map loads. So because of that, we decided to go in-game time as a community. Since we found that the in-game time is pretty accurate up to the hundredths of a second. Right now you're seeing Aeshmah basically using this Rushing Guard, because we did unlock the Rushing Guard attack, It's a little slide that you see him doing, and then he's using the fist light attack, which is the somersault attack that will end up. It actually auto corrects to the nearest enemy if he ends up killing the enemy while in the air. So you can end up killing him to 4 or 5 enemies at with one rushing guard attack. And we're going to be up our first boss here at the end of stage 1. And we still have that Ki stored, so he's trying to get him down to about 49% HP here to hopefully kill him with, and then switch over to the fist, and then hopefully kill him with the fist. If not, bring it up with the sword. There we go. There goes the Scotsman. Stage 1 complete.
Out of 9, so we are 1/9 into the run with a time of 3 minutes 6 seconds and 70. Wow, that was really fast. Holy crap! Even without the rushing guard at the Beelbots fight.
Keep it up, you might beat my record.
This might have been a sub 3 minute stage 1 if I had gotten the rushing guard at the big fight. Interesting. All right, good showing. Let's continue.
So if you're a fan of the Samurai Jack TV show at all, something that you might enjoy, some tidbits you might like, is that apparently this game is canon to the series. If you follow the 5th season, this takes place in the final episode of the series, and if you end up getting doing a 100% run, basically you'll be able to get a special cutscene that extends and the canon to the series at the end of it. Unfortunately, we won't be able to show it off today because we're not doing a common 100% run. Mm-hmm. But hopefully, if you might like to try the game out later, that's something to look forward to if you're a fan of the show.
I think that's also something about this game. Like when I played it casually, I have to admit I didn't enjoy it that much for some reason. I thought it was a little bit clunky around the edges, but when I actually started speedrunning it, I really started to enjoy the game for what it was worth, because it just felt kind of smoother, to do it in a fast way. And it's a really nice speedrun to do, because you can't do it glitches. You can't do it with all the out of bounds tricks. There are a lot of different categories that you can try yourself on. So it's basically, we have something for every skill level of a speedrunner. So even if it's your first speed game, you don't have to worry about all these crazy out of bounds glitches that we're going to do in just a couple levels. But if you're also a very experienced speedrunner, well, just try your hand at some of the more crazy categories.
Yeah, and for me, I was also really looking forward to the game, because apparently some ex-members of Team Ninja and the Ninja Gaiden franchise actually worked on this game as well. And as me as a Ninja Gaiden fan, that just I guess I sort of accepted the jank that you might get when you first play the game, just because you end up finding your flow with it really nicely. And right now,
something that can't be understated enough is that yes, some of the guys that made Ninja Gaiden worked on this, and that should already tell you something about some of the difficulty curves that this game will throw at you. Because even in a speedrun, it might look easy if you're playing this casually on the higher difficulty settings. Let me tell you, it is not.
Oh yeah, that's half the reason why I do the hard difficulty Master of Masters, because Master of Masters you have to use as New Game Plus, because there's just no way you can beat it. You would be able to beat it on stage 1 with level 0. I know this for a fact because I actually created a save file that was like, let me unlock the hard difficulty. You just can't. I haven't gotten past the first checkpoint. Because the game throws it harder difficulty. So right now we're playing on Jack difficulty, and Jack difficulty, all the mob spawns are the same as Samurai normal difficulty. The only major difference is that Jack gets an 80% damage boost for all of his attack damage. So he basically been doing 80% less damage in the Samurai run. So you're going to obviously be doing faster because of the double damage, because of almost the double damage. But like at Master, as the difficulties increase, they change the mobs, they change how many enemies spawn, what types of enemies, how much HP they have. So it's not just they made the AI have more HP and that's it. So it ends up being a little bit more of a challenge than just saying let's go ahead and just play on harder difficulty for the sake of it.
It's definitely crazy how the difficulty scale in this game. If
and there's a first shot of Samurai.
Even if in the beginning you have the option between 3 different difficulty settings, and if you play on Master Samurai, the hardest you can select in the beginning,
you're
gonna have a bad bad time if you select that as your first run through.
Something I also found out recently was that on Master Samurai difficulty, all your Ki does 30% or 40% less damage than it does on normal difficulty. So even though the Jack does the same amount of damage otherwise, in that one specific instance, all your supers are doing 60% their normal damage, and then 30% their normal damage in Master of Masters difficulty.
Yeah.
So right here you can really sort of see that.
increase.
Right here you can really sort of see the Russian Guard light attack, the somersault flip, really working out and helping clear this mob as fast as possible. Unfortunately, the
jank you saw there.
Yeah, the beetles have this weird capsule collision on them, where sometimes they can prevent Jack from landing on the ground fast enough. So it's really one of the risks that you play with. You just end up getting used to it, honestly. So we're just going to traverse through the mountain over here. You skip like basically half the mountain by doing this. Ooh, got hit.
Or not.
Oh. Unfortunately, that's the RNG about it.
One of the worst spots. And oh my god, I had it, dude.
Yeah. Unfortunately, it always feels that way because it feels like he's ready to shoot right when you're lined up for it.
Exactly.
This is one of the few areas in the game that's actually pretty open map for it. Like these are all areas where you're not really going over collision. It's just that like each of these like map objects have collision on them. The only real collision in this area is that we just can't ascend is basically on the mountain walls themselves. Because Jack right now can't really jump well or jump good.
Absolute unit Beetlebot here. Jesus Christ. He blocked like, what was it, 4 of my Kaikens? Jesus Christ.
Yeah, I hate when it happens right there. Now, if you time yourself right, you can take out like 4 of them, one whole wave, like with one flip kick. Use one left. Okay, you got it.
That's like really where the RNG comes in, as we explained a little bit earlier already. Like, if the enemies just decide to block a lot of your attacks, well, those fights are just gonna take longer.
There is like some like areas where the RNG isn't as heavy, or like there's ways that you can sort of, like in the middle of a fight, for example. So like if you land a parry attack, you have a high chance of getting a Ki fire, which will charge your Ki meter. And the more powerful the enemy, the more Ki that gets dropped. So sometimes that can help give you a Ki in the fight. But likewise, if you land a counter attack, which is sort of like a parry, but it's an attack that also parries basically. That one gives you a good chance of getting a white Dama, which would be a healing HP damage, or it will give you health basically. And so, knowing those areas and knowing when to use them is really beneficial when you're trying to try to mitigate a lot of the RNG. So right there, what we just did, we had 2 enemies of beetles, but by using the fist Ki, because again the damage happens on the exact same frame. Regardless of the distance, basically both enemies died immediately instead of having one survive. And because this guy is so big, he has a weird capsule collider, which prevents Jack from jumping underneath him. So he's basically somersaulting onto the ground over and over again without having to lift off the ground. So if you get this timing right, you basically can drain his whole health bar without having to worry too much about it.
And unfortunately, I'm not getting it quite right at the moment.
Well, I mean, you only started trying that strat out like today for one run, right? So
for a couple more tries, but yeah, not really that accustomed to it yet, but we're getting there. Anyway, this was a 6:43.75, so not too bad of a time. Could have been a little bit better, obviously, but
43 or 33? I couldn't hear you.
43.
Okay.
So if you're wondering why I'm shouting out these times, as we explained earlier, we're going by in-game times, but the game, if you go to the stage select screen, you do get your timings for the stages, but on some of them, they're actually a little bit off, simply because it doesn't custom for the times between the end of stage cutscenes. So for the first couple stages, the timers at the stage select screen are actually inaccurate, and that is why we have to note them down by hand. So I'm just shouting down the times for Ponton to take a note of, so at the end of the run we can actually just add them up to see what the actual time for the run is IGT.
Yeah, and again, the end of stage score result screen is accurate, 100%. It's just that when it stores it into your your best record of that stage, it actually neglects like 0.35 to 0.42 milliseconds. It varies per time. It's basically the load time for the second cutscene. Not all the stages have that bug because they only have one cutscene at the end. So right now we're in the Cave of the Ancients, which is a replay of like early Jack, like episode 9 of Samurai Jack. Basically, there's an ancient king stuck in the mountain, and he was seeking us to help him out to free him.
And we're gonna do just that.
Now, too bad this is an NG. If this was NG Plus, we could just jump over the entire mountain and just get to the ancient king right away. But unfortunately, since it's a new game and we don't have level 4 of the sword and 70,000 money to spare, we're just going to have to take it the long way.
Yeah.
But we should be able to meet some few friends.
Which is actually an interesting point to bring up, because there are a bunch of different resources that you have to manage during the run. The one is the skill fire, which are these blue flame pickups, and they are basically needed for almost for every skill upgrade that you're gonna need. But you also need some Bushido, which is these green flames that you can see sometimes. And Bushido is a very rare resource, but you actually can get a lot of it by breaking some of your weapons. Now, the fist and the magic sword that we have here, they are the only weapons in the game that cannot break, so you can use them indefinitely. Every other weapon that you get in the game has actually a durability meter, and once that breaks, well, not only is the weapon gone, but you get a bunch of Bushido out of that. So the game actually expects you to go ahead and break like quite a few weapons in order to get more Bushido. So we also have, you know, a specific points in the run, I want to say, where we break some weapons in order to meet the Bushido requirements for our upgrades.
Yeah, the new game runs of this basically are more about meter management and resource management, whereas like the new game plus tend to be more about battle optimization and battle strategy. You know, there's some carryover between the two of them, but that's basically the main difference between them. So as Aeshmah was saying, you know, the Bushido, it's only really found, like you get like 5 or 6, maybe 10 off of a drop, RNG drop from any enemy kill, but most often you're going to find it from either breaking your weapon or from a chest, and those are the only two areas in the game that the Bushido really, you know, comparing it 5 to 10 to 300 to 400, it's a big difference. And skill fire likewise mainly drops from the enemies as well, but you'll get more skill fire. So as you play through the new game mode, you'll end up you'll accumulate a way more skill fire than you will Bushido, especially as you're trying to, like, you know, level up Jack.
Another resource that we're picking up is gold, and you use that to buy stuff in the samurai's shops. You can also get some weapons training there, so your weapons, you know, deal more damage and stuff like that. But we need a lot of gold, so basically Bushido and gold are the two main resources that we're trying to have a look around. And another thing to keep in mind is that while skill fire, Bushido, and ki fire are automatically awarded to you at the end of a fight because they just float up to you, ammo pickups and gold is not. So, you know, if you think that you might be low on either of those, it might be beneficial at the end of a fight like this right now to just have a quick moment and pick up everything around you, just to make sure that you know, have enough of the resources.
We're coming up near the end of stage 3 here. I always think this is stage 2 because stage 1 goes by so fast.
It absolutely does.
So fast at 3 minutes. But we're coming up near the end of stage 2. We're nearing the final boss of stage 2. But yeah, like you were saying with the pickups, you know, there's certain things you have to be aware of and try to, you know, waste a second or two to go back and clean up the mob area if you're desperate for that money, because we'll mainly be using money for weapon attack, like weapon level upgrades, which are costly. Besides that, it's just general, like maybe some potions, some shurikens that we can use for some quick firing, as well as some arrows, and some medallions and some items that will give us more attack damage. So in this case, we're just going to skip past the. Yeah, you weren't going to make that.
I was trying.
Oof.
Come on. Yeah.
I watch people go down this cylinder all the time, and they always just like never think to just jump down the center. It's like, oh, how am I going to get onto each of these spikes? So what's happening here is that Aeshmah is actually trying to aim for the back of the ancient warriors here, because you can combo into the back hits if you can land that hit. So he's using that rushing guard attack and the auto targeting. You are able to give you have the option to turn on or off auto targeting as well as auto aiming to help you aim more towards the center of enemies, which most people turn off in the options screen. But like we tend to keep the auto attack on because as you saw there, like he's able to do a good amount of damage by just V cutting and letting the auto guard help him get to back hits. And now what we're doing is just trying to get the ancient king here not to death but to like 10% HP, and at a point where he's also kneeling. So if we can land that, we can actually steal his giant hammer from him, which is the most powerful hammer in the game and will help us greatly in this run.
What do we have? 6, 10, 49. Yeah, I was really making sure that I don't kill the boss here, because if you do not get that hammer, and that can absolutely happen if you are, damaging him too much, you're gonna have a really bad time, because this is the most damaging weapon in the game, and we absolutely want that for the speedrun for obvious reasons.
Yeah, I think for us, for Jack, it's a hammer, but for Ancient King, it's so big, it's just the mace for him.
Yep.
There is, you're not going to be seeing too much variance in our speed runs of it. We're basically going to be using sword, fist, and hammer. The pole is a good weapon, and there's also a pole weapon and a mace weapon. They're just not the optimum weapons for speed running. That we will be stealing the best pole in the game, but just to sell it for a lot of money to help us get over some of our limits. This is actually one of the on a New Game Plus run. This area is basically like one of the most safe stages in the game, with very little skips available to us. And these are probably the most annoying enemies you'll find in the game, because they burrow underground and also have like a really long like recovery animation coming out of the ground animation. So like where they just don't have a hurt box for some reason. So Jack will automatically auto target to them as if they do have a hurt box, and then it can lead to some frustrating moments.
Yeah, like these zombies are the worst enemies in the game, personally.
Yeah, for me, I generally do what is like Jack's light heavy attack, which will launch them into the air, just to help like keep them off the ground, so I can finish them off really fast. But you can see here, Aeshmah is actually using the rushing guard light kicks with the stun, and then throwing in some kaikens and some projectiles to help deal the extra damage that's necessary. And we have some time for some donations if you have any.
Yeah, this level is just a lot of fights against these zombies and stuff. It's not. I think it's one of the speedrun-wise, maybe one of the more uninteresting levels in a way. I don't know, because it's not a lot happening here other than what you would do in a casual speedrun anyway.
So this is basically one of my favorite episodes from the show. Honestly, is the Jack versus the undead zombies. Or just Jack versus the zombies, but. So I like all the stages of this game. The first half of the game is basically in the first 4 seasons of episodes, and the last half of the game is all season 5.
I think it has like a really good mix of bringing back some memorable memories of the show if you've watched that. Because it's
I just really find
best off of a show in a way.
Yeah, I mean, I know that like the writer for season 5 was interviewed along with Gendy Tartakovsky about it, about their like work into it, and how like Adult Swim wanted to make an actual like, you know, make the game serious, like not just like some cookie cutter flash game type thing. And and the writer was just like, how are we gonna, because they want to go back to old stages, like old fan favorite episodes. Like the development team had already created some fan favorite shows. They're like, how are we going to make this like canon and serious and part of the show with going back in time, like, you know, to all these other areas. So this takes place between in the middle of the 5th episode, during a time travel scene. So I just found it. I really find it interesting that they were able to go back and like just add this as part of like canon to the show. As a big long time fan of that, I am. So again, like we're coming up to a point where like we're going to be opening some chests and stuff as well, because we need that Bushido. Because we're still trying to get Jack. Ideally, what our main goal right now is that we're trying to get Jack to get to the what is known as the jump good ability. The jump good ability is what's going to be able to let us skip a third to half of the stage 5 level, and we're on stage 4 here, and we're not there yet. So he should be pretty close, at least by the next chest, if he hasn't already gotten the jump good ability. But right now he's loading up on piercing arrows, because piercing arrows are actually like the weakness to Demongo. By landing some piercing arrows to Demongo's head. The way the bows work in this game is that when you're aiming with the bow, you can free aim it. Hitting anyone in the head in this game counts as double damage because it's a headshot. Jack also has that additional 80% damage because it's on Jack difficulty, as well as if the weapon actually breaks, it's the final durability of the weapon when you're using it. Any weapon at all, not just bows, but like if any weapon breaks the moment you use it, the amount of damage that's done to it is 5 times that normal damage. So ideally, you know, we're trying to prep in some parts of the speed run. We're going to be prepping to make sure that we get the bows to exactly 1 durability left, so that way we can do a lot of damage to some of the boss enemies instantaneously with was it like a ×2 ×5 times 0.8 or something like that. 1.8 times 8. Not times 8, times 0.8, whatever. You know what I mean.
So if you ever, you know, hear me just counting down numbers or anything, it's probably because I'm counting durabilities on my weapons to have them ready for a specific point in the run.
Yeah, unfortunately, you can only really find out the durability of the current durability of your weapon by going to the shop. And the shop has a repair screen, and it will tell you exactly how much durability you have left in your weapon. And then it's on the average like roughly about anytime you block a hit or with your normal melee attacks, anytime you block a hit or end up doing a land a hit, it's going to do roughly about, you know, anywhere from 10-ish durability. But with the bows, it's consistently every time you fire the arrow, it's going to do 10 durability no matter what.
Yep, that is why we love bows.
Coming up, I think we're about to. I hate this area. This area is pretty mundane. In the new game run, you can skip over 2 of these small little mob fights, but here we just have to go through this long string of some zombie runs.
And as we established, we hate these zombies.
Well, right now
are they annoying?
Aeshmah is using the hammer because his rushing guard light of the hammer, light attack of doing the light attack during your rushing guard while you have the hammer equipped is a double hitting auto guarding attack that the second hit causes a little bit of a shockwave area of effect hit that can knock over enemies on the ground, so that way they don't start attacking you, as you can see right there. So it's pretty favorable with the hammer. The problem as well, though, is that the durability is doubled because it's 2 hits.
Luckily, the Ancient Hammer does have enough durability to use it consistently for a while, and in the next stage we are gonna get rid of that problem altogether anyway.
I forgot if you use the durability glitch
I
or
do.
not. Is that what you're referring to? Okay.
Yeah.
We'll talk about that when you're doing it.
Next stage, as soon as we get to the first shop in the sewers.
Just using the Ki here instead of the boss because it's just more annoying to deal with the underground zombies than it is the final boss at this level.
And I guess you can already tell why. Just looking at this.
A lot of green and red up there though. Might be able to get a Ki right back.
I should have Ki for the boss again, yeah. At least I hope so.
I can't remember how for new game. Is this? I think this is the final wave right here.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
Where are they? Oh, there.
They're all underground. Where else would they be?
Oh, come on, buddy. Just get out.
Ronnie, man, you gotta do those light heavies. Those light heavy combos.
Jesus Christ.
Keep them out. They keep them from diving underground.
Okay.
So he had that broken arrow ready to shoot. There you go. See, instantly he lost all his health. Yeah, that's the power of the breaking weapon strat. Because actually the final form of Demanga that we fight has the most HP than any other boss in the game. Even though he's not the final boss. He has more HP. I think at this difficulty he has 30,000 HP, whereas most other bosses are anywhere from 8,000 to 14,000. Here we go. And that's
7:49:45. Okay, so I'm gonna jump good. Okay. 5th level. About halfway through the run already. My god, time flies. So this is Aqua City. It basically has, 3 stages, I want to say, to it. The first one is the sewers, then we'll be in the city proper, and at the end of it, we will go for a nice little train ride. And we are actually gonna skip most of the city part of this particular level. Because now that we are a little bit further into the run, we finally have the jump good ability because I just was able to pick it up. We can go for some out of bounds shenanigans. So, from now on, we will basically skip a good deal of all the levels that are coming up, which makes this run go even faster. If these enemies would actually go ahead and let me hit them.
It's funny how a lot of the skips are just doable due to one ability.
Yeah.
Like because the first attack you do on the after the jump good is a light air attack, and for some reason on that very first attempt it actually increases your jump height, and that little was 0.1 meters the increase is all that's necessary to make to jump over I think most of the areas in the game. Otherwise you would need a level 4 fist to do a Shoryuken.
And sadly we wouldn't be able to get that on a new game run because money.
I think it's 70,000 gold needed to do to unlock level 4.
I don't think we ever get that much.
2, 3, and 4 you need a total of 70,000.
I don't think we'll be able to get that much money during the whole run.
So the game basically runs off a constant save system. Even after you completed the game, whatever your inventory is at the end of stage 9 is your inventory whenever you decide to continue the game. So that's why in New Game Plus, you're not expected to get all the levels unlocked, all the skills unlocked, and everything unlocked in a single playthrough. There's some game you're gonna have to do multiple playthroughs in order to get fully leveled.
Yep. Okay, here we go with the durability glitch in just a moment.
So the durability glitch is something we found that the game sort of caches the last durability of the weapon repair, the last repaired weapon's durability. So if you know, forgive me, it's been a while. It's a pretty complicated bug. Basically, you want what you're seeing here is we're taking a machine gun which has 1,000 durability. We're causing 1 damage to it by shooting one bullet, and then we're going to go ahead and repair the machine gun, right?
You repair the weapon that you want the durability to be glitched,
right,
and then the machine gun.
It also has to be a weapon that you have equipped. Like you have to have it actively equipped to you. Go to the repair screen, and then basically repair the weapon you want first. You want to have that glitch apply to first, and then the durability you want to apply to it by repairing that weapon second. And it basically like puts, as long as you land a hit before you swap it out of your active equipment, it ends up applying the second weapon's durability to the first. So this is some precision jumping we're going to have to go here. We're going to see some areas of the stage that we just really can't deal with right now. You probably shouldn't be seeing.
So like I said earlier, this is basically where we skip most of the level. Because we just got out of the sewers and we're gonna skip all the way that we would have to go through the city and immediately go to the last stage of this level, which is the train ride. More or less.
So if you really wanted to see Aqua City, we're sorry, but you just got to play the game yourself. The best we can do is show you the wonderful sewers. Now, this is one of those areas where the loading can have an issue on PlayStation and like Switch, especially. Where like what we're trying to do is get to origin point of the map right here with Jack, and it looks like we did it.
Yep.
You can do a pause buffer there to basically increase the chances of it loading in right. And now we just skip to like the end of the second third of the game of the stage.
Ah, come on, really?
The one guy who's just out of range.
Yep.
Don't get thrown.
Haven't had that happen in a while. But I guess he really wanted to show off during the marathon run. Because of course he did.
Yeah, it happens. The Imikati are now like, you are the greatest play, right?
Alright,
And
last
now
part
we're on the
of the
train.
fifth stage.
Josephine and Zeke have taken Jack hostage on the train and are looking to steal their bounty. We're going to be fighting Zeke. Go ahead.
Go ahead.
We're going to be fighting Zeke and Josephine on this train a few times. Basically, the final bosses of the stage are multi-fights. First, we're going to fight Zeke once, then Josephine, and then Zeke two more times until we fight them both at the same time. Normally, we'd want to hold our Ki until the final fight of the stage. But in this case, one of the battles with Zeke is a little awkward because he can fall off the platform and make it very difficult and slow to beat him. So we're going to use the Ki on him alone and then take on the two together with our Russian guard strats.
Oh, come on.
And in addition to that, like with Zeke, you can actually use your Russian guard light attack with the sword and just do an infinite combo string to him. All he has to do is just start falling over just like that. And then once he falls over, because we're on Jack difficulty, they'll fall down. We should be able to just instantly knock him away with the throw.
Yep. One less Zeke to worry about. But don't worry, he will be back. A lot.
Honestly, Josephine's like the more worrisome, even though she has the less health. Like she just doesn't have like an easy AI pattern to her. It's just like just pray and hope that your attacks land. On New Game Plus, you can use our fully leveled like bow abilities to like take her out in like 7 shots with a piercing arrow. But like on New Game, we don't have those abilities available to us. So this is the Zeke we would generally use the Ki for.
Right.
For that reason right there, as you can see, you can just sort of fall down.
I just wanted to show that off. No other reason that I didn't do it earlier.
Yeah. I'm trying to show why we're not saving for the end.
But yeah, like I don't know if it's a programming error or whatnot, because there are actually barriers there at the end of the wagon, but Zeke just doesn't care. He can just fly through them. Absolutely no issue. And once he's out there, you obviously can't hit him, and he can stay out of the barrier a while. And it's just miserable time because you're just losing, you know, seconds or maybe even minutes.
Yeah. Whereas this part of the fight would be over pretty much instantaneous. Now we have to actually fight them, but it's still way faster than actually fighting Zeke on that third round.
Yeah.
And what we're going to be trying to do is knock Zeke out first, and then Josephine we're gonna beat up. But again, just like the Ancient King before, we're gonna make sure that she has like 10% health, and when she falls over, we end up throwing her with our fist, and then that will give us her weapon, which we can use to help make some of our purchases in the next stage. Now she's gonna get all angry, do more attack damage. Save some of this piercing for for Damongo.
I was just gonna say, I'm getting a little bit too gung-ho on them. Okay, there we go. The parasol.
That's stage 5.
And this is a... What do we have? 7 minutes, 54:97. Just a little bit under 8 minutes. It's okay.
And here's the first stage that's based off of a season 5 episode. I think it's like season 5 episode 2.
It should be, yes.
1 or 2.
Oh, wait.
The end of 1, mainly episode 2, where everyone meets our favorite Tom Kenny role. Obviously, not SpongeBob, as people seem to think, but some Scaramouche. Right now, we're going to have to climb this tower again. Like, if this is New Game Plus, we'd just be flying to the boss fight from this point. But we unfortunately can't have that ability unless you have level 4 sword.
Yeah, so just as a point of reference, this run is, you know, if you're talking RTA, 1 hour, let's say 10-ish time, maybe a little bit less than that. If you're doing this on a New Game Plus file, it's like, what, 20 minutes, the whole game? I want to say?
New Game Plus Jack will be about like 20 minutes. I think we haven't gone under 20 yet. But it's somewhere between 20 to 25.
So it's a massive difference.
Right now, we're actually taking time to get these weapons from our friends over here because we need the money. We're dead broke, and we definitely need to be able to afford the highly expensive options in the shop. Because if we don't get the bracelet, at least in this one, then we won't be able to get it in time for the next boss fight after in the next stage. And again, like what's happening here, basically in the story of this game is just Aku has basically knocked Jack out of a time portal and into a pocket dimension where he's basically like Jack's trying to find a way back to the time portal in Ashi, as Aku's basically sending him into all his past fights to relive all his past fights. So here we go. Here we're going to sell the parasol, as well as a bunch of the other weapons we don't need anymore. And that gave us enough to pick up level up hammer to level 3, which increases the area of effect for the hammer, as well as the damage and any damage we do for any of the weapon. Any attack we do with it has also increased by 10% damage as well.
I don't think I have an way I could sell some arrows.
This is the RNG for you.
Okay.
How many piercing can you give it the piercing arrow sale?
Got just
barely
enough to buy it.
That will give us an additional 5% damage, which we do actually need.
Yep. Should have taken a little bit more time to pick up even more money earlier, I guess.
Every bit counts on a new game run.
Yep.
You're really using the auto targeting to you just don't want to go into the middle of a crowd and just hope to God all 5 of them die. I think we're coming up on the skip for this level, which again requires the jump good ability.
Getting close, yes. 2 more fights.
every so often you're going to see Aeshmah do a finish off the beetles with a throw instead, and that will give him Reapers, which are very expensive in the shop, but they come for free for every beetle you destroy. They're basically like a sticky bomb, sticky grenade type of effect, and they're very damaging, and also very useful for the final fight. Oof. You know they're from Ninja Gaiden if you get rocket spam.
Yeah, I think that is like one of the things that like really made me very angry during my first casual playthroughs, especially in the higher difficulty settings, is the knockback that you suffer whenever you get hit by ranged attacks. And these hunter enemies, they just love spamming all kinds of projectiles at you, like with the machine guns, with the handguns, with the rocket launchers and whatnot. And you can just get stun locked to death, no problem whatsoever.
And what makes it really annoying?
Doing a speedrun, it just loses you a lot of time too.
What makes it really annoying with the rockets is that they have the splash damage that equally knock you back. So it's like, it's not one thing, not enough to just dodge the rocket itself, but you have to like be out of the range.
Yep.
Okay, so here we go. We're going to go over jump up here to jump on top of what is currently this way we don't kill this is why we don't kill every beetle, because we need that barrier wall that comes up for the mob so we can make it over top of the wall entirely. And we're trying to get over to that area to the far right, which is the boss fight area for Scaramouche. Oof. Don't go too far. Don't get too far. You got it. We just skipped like half the level basically, and there's the samurai. He decided to finally load in. The trigger loads by hitting checkpoints, basically. That's what we're doing for that. And Scaramouche here, hopefully we don't have to see it. But he does have a flute, and he can summon enemies over. On the later levels, later difficulties, you have to worry about it, but you can take it out.
So 41680?
Take out the flute with a piercing arrow or a ki, and then that will allow you to force him to stop being able to call for backup. Which is a nice little like I love Easter eggs like that in boss fights. Like, you know, it's like not something obvious, but it's just something that's like, oh, why they made it so you can break his flute.
Yeah, if you don't know that and you're getting to that fight the first time, you're gonna have a little bit of a bad time because he just keeps summoning ads over and over again. I mean, he will stop eventually on his own too, but it can definitely make the fight go way quicker if you just go ahead and break his flute yourself.
And so now this stage is based off of episode 3 of season 5, where it's Jack versus the Daughters of Aku. So we're gonna meet up with Retro Ashi and her sisters. In a little while. Oh, man, it spawns 3 rocket guys right on you. The worst thing is that like when those rocket guys spawn, sometimes they spawn like 10 meters in the air, and even though they just spawn before they even hit the ground, sometimes they'll fire off a rocket. So like, there's no prep time you have for it. It's just like pray and hope.
Yep. So another thing that happened there, because I basically ran out of money during the shopping in the previous level, I wasn't able to buy a power potion, which increases your damage by 10%, I think. So the fight coming up will just be a little bit slower because I can't just go ahead and pop one of those.
If you can get enough, you can buy it from the next shopkeeper at the start of the.
Oh yeah, but I was just thinking about this fight right here with the 2 daughters. I should have enough for the actual boss fight at the end of the stage.
So these daughters basically have an AI control where after the 4th hit, they're going to auto break out of whatever combo you stun lock you have. There are ways to get around it, but it's still just faster to eat the damage, because the greatness of the Russian Guard's light attack for the sword, as you see Aeshmah using, is that it doesn't flinch. So when it gets hit, it will still at least land its hit. So you can just trade over and over again. And that was the first 2 daughters we're fighting, but I think that's the last daughter to fight before the final boss. Normally you'll be able to fight them a few more times, but we're just going to skip half the level. Even probably 2/3 of it, honestly.
It's a big skip. that we do, and this is the temple, where we will perform set skip in just a moment here.
Now, the thing is that the final boss fight, you're fighting basically all 6 daughters at the same exact time. Sometimes at level 3 of the using level, we have the hammer at level 3, so the hammer should reach them all, but sometimes they like to be rude and jump out of the area of effect of the hammer and only take a little bit of damage instead of the full thing. So that can it could be an instant wipe for all the girls, or it ends up being a little bit of a cleanup job afterwards. And I think Aeshmah's figured out how many arrows he needs.
6.
And is basically going to be counting them out. The nice thing about the arrows again is they happen anytime you fire the shot, regardless of whether it hits or not. So they'll cause damage to the bow. So we need the bow to be at a certain level eventually. And here comes what was the first skip that we found as a community, to get out of bounds. Before this skip, like we didn't have any out of bounds skips, and this sort of opened the floodgates.
And boy, are they open nowadays.
Because every time we say like, "Hey, there's nothing to be found on that stage," and then we find like a skip that beats us to the main boss at NG+. So basically, because that elephant has now moved, we're able to go back up into the hole, because now you saw the saving icon at the bottom right. Basically means that the level has loaded the next area and has despawned the previous area of the level. And ideally, you basically like aim to the right a bit when you're jumping good. And as you can see, we're just going to run on top of the collision and just make it to the boss fight. Which always saddened me that when we first found this one, because I was like, I actually like this stage the most. Oof. I think you
double jumped a little bit too early.
Yeah, you're still safe though. There's a lot of collision walls here. If you fall on the wrong side, it's going to be a long way around to the boss fight. But we're just going to go through this whole non-collision area, or out of bounds area, and there we go. We triggered the boss fight.
Okay. See if we hit all of them this time.
There was 2 of them that were off in the corner.
Yes.
Yeah, those are the same ones. And it always seems to be those 2 as well. Like they always just like jump into that corner. Just
I
one
think it was only this one. Yeah, it was only this one this time. I should have gone a little bit through the corner. Oh well. 4:31:69.
Awesome.
I mean, we lost a little bit of time, but it wasn't so bad because, the hammer ki basically does its damage from Jack outward, and the farther away the enemies are from Jack, the less damage they take from the ki attack. So ideally, you want the enemies to be in a range where it instantly kills them, because every time you kill one of the daughters, you get another cutscene. But if you kill all of them at once, well, you get only one cutscene, and obviously it kills all of them, so you don't have to run around and look for stragglers.
One of those
Sadly,
moments
one of them survived.
It benefits you if you're doing RTA. In-game time, it pauses during each of those cutscenes, though, so it doesn't really matter in that regard.
Yeah, but I mean, you still have to find the straggling daughter and kill her anyway.
Yeah, you still have to killing each one after instead of all at once is still obviously much longer time. And so this stage is basically based off of episode 8 of season 5, where Jack and Ashi have found an old prison ship. This is honestly my most disliked stage in the game, just because it's all walled off and has ceilings everywhere. So there's only one area in this stage. Yeah. So there is a unique enemy in this area of the game on this stage. It's only in this stage on this difficulty and samurai difficulty. But like I said before, master's difficulty, for example, decides to put them in the first checkpoint of the first stage, so making it more annoying when you don't have abilities.
Yep, and they will make your life miserable.
Basically, they're little purple slugs that when you kill one, they spawn smaller versions of themselves, and they spew acid, and the acid is unblockable. Yeah, the acid is unblockable. You can get stun locked very easily if you let them grow out of control. Basically, there's one very large slug that will end up doing just endlessly spawning mid-level slugs, and if you haven't killed that thing fast, then you're going to be flooded literally with the slugs. So the nice thing is that fall damage gets reset every time you see Jack do his double jump. So you can fall great distances as long as you double jump right before you hit the ground. You're going to be safe from the fall damage, and the fall damage will never kill you. It will only drop you down to 1 HP. There we go. Using the breaking shot just to make this fight go way faster.
Problem is, also, I don't have any piercing arrows anymore, but the fight should be over anyway.
In Jack and Samurai difficulty, when you knock an enemy or a boss down to 50% and then 25% remaining HP, they'll get like sort of like a knockdown state, and they'll take 50% less damage during this knockdown state. But it does help make sure that you don't get to like later patterns that you only would have to sit through, especially if you're trying to get them to the speed run. So now we're coming up to the only skip that we currently have on this stage. It's supposed to be a forward light. Was that? So for some reason, this giant lock security door does not have any collision above the door. So we're just gonna hop right into it and just run along the side and trigger the portal. Now you do miss out on getting the large bomb that helps out with the mid-boss fight, but we have so many weapons here with Reapers and the hammer that it's just gonna make it just as easy. There's the large lava. Yeah.
Do have enough for a second ki, which is pretty nice.
Oh wow, that came in a little early.
Yep.
Must have been the breaking bow shots. Again, like preparing those breaking bows really help out a lot, not only for the damage boost that they give him on the boss fights, but also, as you can see, the Bushido drops from them. Because I think there's like 600 or like 400 durability, I think. It's like 2, 3, 4, depending on which bow breaks. There's 3 different variants of bows.
But beside the jump good ability that we picked up earlier, you know, just getting the second ki flame is like the upgrade that we're saving our resources for, because it makes, you know, things way better coming up for us.
And you can end up leveling up to 3 KIs. We're not going to be able to do that in the new game run. But you know, like having the second one just gives us more leeway, because then we don't have to rely on when you have a full meter, you obviously can't store more ki. So having a second one just has a backup in case, you know, they end up dodging or whatever, will greatly help us out. And we're coming up on the mid-boss fight here. Since you have the ki, I guess.
Yep.
Just took him out in one hit. The portals are annoying because you have to jump through the hoop, literally. Like the outer rim of the hoop basically like will knock you down, not cause damage, but will knock you down. So you have to make sure you actually make it through the hoop and not just like walk right into it. Careful.
Yeah, it's just like the problem with you land on top of the hitbox of these slugs. You obviously can't do the rushing guard combo because you're not on the ground. And yeah, there are a lot of slugs around there, so that was a little bit unfortunate.
If you get stuck in the corner with the slugs in this area of the stage, you're gonna have a bad time.
Yep. Luckily, there are a lot of slugs around here, so yeah.
There was a lot of times where the ninjas were the most annoying enemy in this game, and then it was like, no. Then you meet slugs. The slugs. The ninjas have I think it's a 3-hit combo breaker on it, as well as can just be very annoying with their teleporting. Oh, so here he can clones. Yeah. Luckily, he only summoned one clone himself. Yeah, so when they summon clones, they basically get however many clones they have. They all have low damage, low health, but they all have a full HP meter. There's no way visually or physically to tell which one is the master version. If you kill the master, you'll kill all the clones. But unfortunately, the only way you can tell is if you did damage to them before they triggered their clone jutsu, and will end up like you have to look at their health meters really fast in order to judge to see which one's the master ninja. I think I ended up ending a run in master mode because I had 15 ninjas in one room. I was like, I'm
Jesus
done.
Christ.
Nope. I literally thought that I'm
horrible.
done. Stop cloning yourselves.
Yeah. Definitely do not want to see the clones at all. I think I might have a little bit of a problem here because I'm out of piercing arrows and there isn't another shot before the Mungo.
You're gonna have wasted a bunch, Josephine, man. That's all I gotta say.
Yep.
So here we're fighting Demon Ashi. In episode 9 of season 5. We're almost to the finale, man.
Yep, one more stage after this one. Ah, come on. Ah, really? Okay, there we go.
Yeah, that's why sometimes you want to hold off until close to 49%.
624.41. All right, last level.
Yeah, I saw the SSJ rank on there. I always call it like Super Saiyan Jack. I think that's what the community calls it. Like 95% of the end score you get for a run for a stage is based purely off how fast you did it. Like how many deaths you had is the second biggest factor to it. After that, like the other ones don't really matter. Because I think like it can at most it will take off like 40% of your score if you die like more than 2 times. So right now we're on the final stage. Aku's waiting for us at the top of the tower, hoping we don't get to him. But we basically have to go through 4 fight arenas, including a Damongo fight in the next floor. And there's a 5th floor as well in the middle of it that's basically just a shop. That we can buy basically anything we want from anything at all that's possible to be bought from the shop.
Oh, you know what? Sure, got to equip that.
Add the extra 5% to 15% damage more. Yeah. They always like to run. These ones like to run away as soon as they see you coming in with that Russian guard. They're like, we saw your tricks.
They absolutely do.
This is where it's really handy to have a second PI available. So it looks like we don't have any piercing arrows for Damongo in the next fight. So what we're really going to have to rely on...
Yep, shit.
What we're really going to rely on in this one, because arrows just don't do any damage even if they're headshots on him. Maybe if it's 1 breaking arrow, you'll do like maybe 1 normal piercing arrow's damage. But what we're going to rely on... It actually doesn't do anything. What we're going to rely on here is basically...
that was the breaking shot. Okay.
Oh, there you go. So Damongo, it's not really a bug, it's sort of an exploit, but the more orbs you have on the field, and in Jack difficulty, you can't have any more than 3 enemies at a time spawn here. But the more each enemy he kills here, like it drops a soul orb, and then by if he does the fist ki, like in this case, it's going to hit each of those soul orbs, take the damage of the fist ki, and then they'll do additional damage to Damongo if they return and hit him. So it's actually like quad damage, but it only affects the fist ki, because if it's any other ki, it will it negates the hammer doesn't work because it basically just like it's shockwave effect more than an instantaneous thing. So it ends up just not doing enough damage in the same amount of time. Now, if you get something like 5 orbs on the field, you basically can insta-kill him with the fist ki. The only other annoyance we're going to have with the Mongo is that, one, all these enemies are RNG. It just completely decides, like, you could get like 3 regular enemies like we started this fight with. Otherwise, you might have these beetles and mid-boss fights. And we're able to get that second Ki. Again, because he takes 50% less damage when he's in that down state, we're just going to let him teleport away real quick and try to get the orb ready for him. Even though he's invincible when he's teleporting away, he's actually vulnerable when he's teleporting back in.
Could you stop blocking, dude?
And the nice thing about the beetles is that the beetles take 20% more damage if you're using the hammer against them.
But yeah, you can also definitely tell how long this fight takes. If I just had more piercing arrows, he would be long gone by now. But there we go. Got through it.
Basically, you saw that basically be like a minute and a half or something like that.
Yeah.
And normally it takes like 20 seconds at most.
Unfortunate.
If you have 2 breaking, I think it's like 2.5, like 2 breaking arrows. 2 bows ready to be broken and piercing headshots. It takes out 2 shots. Will get him down to like 95% HP. So that's like the most HP enemy in the game. Of course, you bought all the piercing arrows we can, just as backup. And now we're on to the 3rd floor of the stage. Or there's one more floor after this, and then we finally fight a coup on the floor above that. Right now we gotta go through 2 waves of these dreaded zombies. The annoyance as well, because they're burrowing underground, they're also invincible while they're underground from Ki, as well as any other attack. So you can lose a lot of time in here if you just get a bad pull.
They are blocking a lot of attacks again. This is unreal. Wanna come up?
I think there's still 2 more waves after this.
Mm-hmm. Luckily they aren't as bad as the zombie waves.
Like, basically the game generally is that like the more enemies in a single mob, the less HP each enemy individually has. So like a lot of these times where you get like 30 enemies appearing, most of them will die in 1 hit, which is where you wear the Russian guard light at the oof. It's a bad back hit. There we go.
Alright. Last fighting arena coming up.
Now, if this is New Game Plus, we could literally skip all four of these floors.
But it isn't, so we can't.
I miss it. Oof, that's gonna hurt. Yeah, another later skill level you can get is instant guard cancel. So basically, you end up making it so if you push guard on during the active hit, you actually cancel out of your recovery, which makes fighting these guys way faster on higher difficulty levels. You basically are safe from your most of your attacks.
Yeah, like you can see when I swing this hammer, there's like a long recovery after the second hit there, where you can just take, hits like these. But since it is such a damaging attack, you actually want to use it. But if you're just surrounded by enemies, there's just a lot you can do about it, so you just have to take the hit there.
We got 2 Ki ready for Aku. You don't necessarily need 2 Ki, but we were able to find a way to break his pattern. Literally breaks him at a certain spot in the fight coming up, what we're going to try doing is getting to about 40% HP. He ends up doing this attack that he's trying to throw fire at you, but on that one specific moment of that type of attack, if we end up hitting him with the hammer ki, he'll lock and freeze in place, and we can end up just hitting him with the second ki or use a breaking shot to kill him. Unfortunately, we don't have any breaking shots ready, so the second ki should take him out.
All right, here we go. Last boss fight.
Oh, there's Rothschild.
So time is coming up. Time is actually on the last hit against the boss, so you know, tech person, you should get ready on that in just a moment here.
Oof, good dodge. So generally what we do here is we're going to be spamming Reapers that we've accumulated throughout the levels to try to keep him lock stunned and stop him from going into his patterns, basically. You just have to jump over the two waves. He's about halfway to where we need him. There's also a ninja who likes to spawn every so often in here.
Where is he?
Yep, here we go. Alright, so this is going to lock him in place, as you can see.
And time. Alright, that was the run, everybody. So let's just go ahead and see what our final time on this level will be. It's probably not a good one because of the issues we had in Mongo, sadly. Yeah, that's 8:22.84.
I want to play the Mongo on that one.
Ideally, you want the last level time to be somewhere in the 6-minute range, so we lost about 2 minutes on that fight, sadly. But yeah, it can just happen sometimes.
Still a fun time.
Yeah, absolutely.
It was only 4 minutes behind world record, so you're not too far.
Okay, so it's like in the 55-minute range IGT?
Yeah.
Alright, nice. So Ponton, do you have any last shout-outs to do?
No, I just appreciate you putting the game in for this event, for Hekathon. It was definitely a pleasure being here to commentate for everyone and share the game that I know that I love, but also a lot of members in the Samurai Jack Discord on speedrun.com can attest to that. It's actually really fun and really welcoming community as well. It was fun to find you on Twitch that one day and just help you go through this.
Absolutely, yeah. I can just mirror what Ponton just said. Absolutely, join the Samurai Jack speedrun community if you think that this looked good to you. If you want to try and speedrun it yourself, it's a really fun game to speedrun. The community is very welcoming, and I just want to put out a huge shout out to Ponton, not only for doing commentary for this one, but ever since I started speedrunning this game, he has been constantly watching my progress and giving tips and everything. So I would definitely not be where I am right now in this category if he hadn't been tutoring basically for I don't know how long I've been running this game now. So yeah, big thank you to you, buddy, and also a big thank you to the organizers for having us, because this is actually the first time that we were able to show off this category during a marathon run. So we're really excited to be able to do that, and I don't think there's any better place to do it than during Hekathon. Anyway, everybody, that is the run. We are done right here, so have a lot of fun with the rest of Hekathon. We have, a lot of good runs still lined up for you during this weekend, so hope you have fun with that. Donate to charity. It's, something you should absolutely do. We're not only doing this just for fun. I mean, we are, but we also try to raise money here, so go ahead and donate. Let's smash that goal, and I hope I will see everybody of you soon again. Until then, everybody, bye-bye.
Yeah, thank you for the great run. And you've been talking about donations, and we actually got some during the run.
Nice.
Thank you a lot, BBJN17, for $25 with comment for the Joans. I want to remember you. Thank you a lot. Remember about we are going to have a mirror search relay race where you can where there is going to be a beat war taking place. And you can actually donate for whatever team you want. And this is going to be really fun to watch. You will see what it's gonna make in the run. Okay, at this point, there is no more donations, which is sad, but I'm pretty sure we're going to get any more. So yeah, if you're done, guys, thank you a lot for coming. Thank you a lot for running. And yeah, that was
Thanks for having us.
nice to watch.
Bye bye.
Yes.